Boy, I tell you what, I never thought I'd come back to this goddamn series after so many years. Hello and welcome all to a very special, very long, very energetic, big-ass, classic-style rant from the one and only Darkscream, formerly Darkscream 217. And what better way to return to form than talking about one of the series I can't shut up about, even though I really don't like it as much as everyone else, Love Hina. Oh, but we're not talking about the anime, not again, not going through that bullshit, no. We are going for the source. We're gonna talk about manga. We're gonna read in this bitch. Crack a motherfucking book and read! Ever since I re-uploaded my old videos from way back when and set up a teaser for this eventual rant, vlog, whatever you call it, I can't really call it a review, nor do I want to. My friends have been asking me, Almighty Darkscream, Messiah Darkscream, why? Why go through the trouble of reading Love Hina? Why risk your life on a manga based off of an anime that you hate so much? Well, there's actually a few reasons for that. First reason is I wanted to try to do some kind of throwback special after making videos for 10 years, and I just didn't know what to pick at the time. I don't do commentaries anymore. I don't really talk about fighting games as much as I used to back in the day. So I wanted to do a full rant on Love Hina, but I didn't want to go back to the anime. It pissed me off enough, and what's the point in going back to something you've already seen? At least try something slightly new in that department. Now, the second reason, I lost a bet. I made a wager way back when with Real, and as a result, my punishment was to, in fact, rewatch the anime adaptation, but I'm a stubborn bastard. I ain't doing that. Even bargained with him to try to watch something else, or read the manga. But, when I was making that bargain at the time, the manga was actually out of print, both versions, but for some reason, Amazon didn't let me down that one day, so thanks. And as for reason number 3, let's be honest. To my subscribers, you wanted this. You want to see me vent and go off the rails like I used to back in the day when I was trying to find my footing in ranting and stuff. I mean, hell, it's why you voted for Green for me to review 6 years ago, and I'm not bitter about that at all. Now, this vlog is going to be scripted, it's going to be mostly off the cuff, I'm going to be zigzagging throughout a bunch of points, talking all over the place, and I'm going to even be fair too. I'm going to point out some stuff I not only disliked, still, and I'll actually point out some stuff I actually really like. I'm going to try to be as fair as possible because I like to be a little more open-minded than I was a decade ago, where I just did rants for the sake of rants. But that being said, I've heard through most of the comments back in the day. I even had some friends who would tell me that they were Love Hina fans, but they would say stuff like, and you've heard this too, in general, if you're an anime fan, you had to have heard this once in your life. You would hear the following statement: well, yeah, the anime sucks, but the manga is vastly superior. And that is a justifiably irritating statement. I feel you for that. But to be fair, I was actually willing to believe them. Because Ken Akamatsu's work, when translating to anime, always felt like an act of injustice to the manga fans. Especially anything related to Negima. I talked about the first anime adaptation by Zebek, the same studio responsible for Love Hina's adaptation, on how bad it was. The Shaft series, I still had fun watching, but it wasn't a direct adaptation of the original story. Can't say much about the movies and OVAs either, because we never got it localized. And after going back to reading UQ Holder after watching the anime, all I gotta say is, God damn, did they gut a lot of good shit just to fast forward a confrontation between two main characters of two different series. I don't even want a second season from that series anymore. And motherfucker, I read all of it. From beginning to end. I wasn't gonna drop it like I did the first time around. We'll talk about that later. But now that I have sat through all of Love Hina, what are my thoughts? Well, is it better than the anime? Yes. Yes, it is. I can actually say that confidently. But does that make the manga good? No. Well, I mean, no. Well, I guess the best place to start is with the beginning, with the story. And if you've seen my Love Hina anime review, or have seen the anime itself but didn't read the manga, story doesn't change. It's pretty much the same. Keitaro Urashima makes a promise to a girl when he was 5 years old at his grandmother's inn to go to Tokyo Daigaku, or Todai for short. 15 years later, he's attempted to enter twice, failed both times, living as a ronin in his second year. During that time, he stops by at the Hinata Inn, the same inn he made the promise way back when. But now it's an all-girls dormitory, hijinks ensue. Every woman at his visit hates him almost initially, except for Shinobu and Sue, until they saw that his Todai papers, but then eventually they found out he was a fraud, he was going to kick him out, but then miraculously his grandmother makes him the manager of the inn, and now he's living at the inn with 5 females, one of them also wanted to go to Todai for her reasons, and yeah, that's pretty much the story. And it's really not that much different. Now, notice I said Todai, or Tokyo Daigaku. Well, the version of Love Hina I picked up is actually a retranslation by Kodansha Comics. Tokyo Pop, I believe it was Tokyo Pop, handled it the first manga localization. And what they did was, they just made a more literal translation of Tokyo U. So notice when I'm saying Todai, I am actually referring to Tokyo U. You know, Todai, as in, if I'm ever have to continue reading this manga, I'm going Todai. Ha ha! Puns. Unfortunately, most of the characters in the series also haven't changed much at all at the early moments of the manga, including our protagonist Keitaro himself. I said we were going to read in this bitch, and I am going to read to you Keitaro's exposition of himself, just to show you how wonderful of a start we had with this fucking masterpiece. I can't believe my stupid parents are treating their own son like this. They said I wouldn't be accepted to Todai even if the world came to an end. Wow, that's fucked up. It's true that my deviation score is 48 and my English is bad. I'm not good at math, literature, Japanese history, and biology. That means I'm not good at anything. Come to think of it, it's not just studying. I'm bad at sports, I'm not good looking, and I have no redeeming qualities. I don't have anything that girls would find me attractive. It's sad, but it's true. And he also has like a Purikura collection, and it's just photos of himself. After reading that, my response was, for the love of God, somebody give this guy a free ice cream or cone or something. He is bumming everyone out. And you know what? How comically over-exaggerated of a loser archetype this character was, you can't help but feel a little bit bad for him. Not because of the stuff I mentioned earlier, no. It's because he is not the worst character in this series. No, I think it's time we bring out the big guns. I think it's time we talk about the real issue with this series. Naru Narusagawa. Now, when I watched the anime 8 years ago, Naru was without doubt the worst fucking thing about that show. She would physically inflict harm onto Keitaro for some of the smallest menial shit ever, even if it's not entirely his fault. And all this time, every time I see her do this, the quote-unquote chemistry between her and Keitaro was getting less believable than the announcement of Half-Life 3. Does she love this fucker or not? And when I bring this up, or when I look it up online, there is apparently one point of contention. Naru is supposedly not as bad in the manga when compared to the anime. Well, could have fucking fooled me. Because Naru is just as bad as she was in the anime, at least for the majority of the series. Does she get better? Yeah, but that's not like till like the second half of the series, man. That's like 7 volumes in. But when you're reading this, you're like, okay, she's warming up, she's being a little nice. Oh, that's another problem I have with this fucking manga. One of the biggest problems is whenever there's actually a straight heart-to-heart moment, whenever there was actually something nice about to happen, when Nara opens up a little bit, or she's actually, you know, extending an olive branch to Keitaru, some weird gag follows up immediately afterwards, and she fucking socks him in the face and has negative opinions about him once again. And this happens a lot. And it's fucking bang head on wall insanity. And I've been falling for this shit every time. Because I was told, well, funny thing is, after I picked up the manga and put out the teaser, an old YouTube buddy of mine, Mr. Mir, some of you who have been part of my community might vaguely know who he is. He actually comes up and says, yeah, I read the manga, it's not that much better. So he was like the first and so far the only person to say that. But I was hoping there was going to be a moment to where this manga will pick up, and every time I'm like, oh, this is, no, stupid gag, Keitaru getting hit, end of the chapter. Oh, maybe this is, no, he accidentally does something, he gets hit in the face. That's the end of the chapter. This goes on a lot. And this is also the reason why I hate tsunderes in most anime, even though she's honestly one of the better written examples. This constant berating and beating of Keitaru drove me up the wall so hard that I actually tried to reach people out with a fucking tweet asking, what is the difference that makes the manga version of Naru any better than the anime? What was the difference? And I actually got an answer from a friend of mine who loves the manga saying, oh no, she's not that much different. She's actually like the biggest extreme tsundere archetype you could ever see in any series ever. Well, that definitely boosted my confidence when I continued reading this manga. Thanks, Brandon. By the way, the slapstick is like 2/3, a good 60 to 80% of the manga. That's the gag. Him getting hit over and over again. And I'm a slapstick guy, and I'm also a very dark subject matter guy. I love me some Tom and Jerry, and I even like the cartoon Drawn Together. But the problem is that tonally, Love Hina is very lighthearted and very quirky. And this might come off semi-political, and I apologize for that, because I really fucking hate the times we are living in this social political climate. It's fucking hell right now, but look, I knew what I was getting into while reading Love Hina. I knew there was going to be that gag. It pissed me off in the anime. I kind of sort of got desensitized to it, to the point where I'm not as pissed off as I used to be, because what did I expect? That being said, I could see other people reading this and getting outright offended because, well, domestic abuse just ain't as funny as it used to be. Especially if it's the reverse gender domestic abuse. I don't know where to transition from here. I guess I could talk about why I dropped it initially. See, years ago, at the same time I was watching the anime, I did read the manga. I have 3 volumes of the Tokyo Pop version. I don't have them on me, I can't find them, but they're somewhere. And I dropped it hard and just lost complete interest, because what happened was, okay, Keitaru and Naru was starting at Todai, or to get into Todai. My bad, I need to clarify on that. They were getting along a little bit better, and they were doing their entrance exams. But Keitaru fails. And much to his surprise, Naru fails as well. So they go to a bar and drink their fucking sorrows away. they had an argument, obviously, because, well, it was a shit day. When fucking Keitaru calls Naru out on her bullshit, finally, she gets upset, runs off, and it's framed to where Keitaru is 100% at fault, even though he was right. She was beating the crap out of him for almost no reason whatsoever. At that point, I just dropped it. Didn't have interest at the time. I'd rather go back to reading Negima. Here I am, giving it a second chance. Much to my subscribers' shock and dismay. Actually, let's talk about that objective Keitaru has. About him wanting to go to Tokyo U because of a promise he made way back when. So, they tried to set up this quote-unquote mystery plot, and I put that shit in air quotes. And just like in the anime, it was just blatantly obvious that the girl that Keitaru made a promise to 15 years ago was in fact Naru. They reunited. They tried to throw in some curveballs and red herrings, like for example, the first time around that Keitaru thought that Naru was the promised girl, she denies it because she was only like 2.5 years old at the time. Then they introduce another red herring by the name of Mutsumi Ultahime, who is actually I actually really like her. She's really dumb, but her goofiness and her dumbness does have a lot of other comedy into the series that's actually kind of legit funny. Like, my favorite moment was shortly after that moment I dropped the series in volume 3. They do meet up with her on a boat, and then they get into some weird hijinks here and there. They got lost. They got stranded on a lifeboat. They stranded up on some deserted island, or they thought it was deserted until Mutsumi's like, "I thought this island looked familiar to me. It's actually the backyard to my house." Yeah, that was one of the things. Mutsumi, almost everything about her I actually liked. It's just a goddamn shame that her role got diminished once they introduced another character in the series. But anyways, yeah, she was like a red, because she is about the same age as Keitaru. It was heavily hinted that she was the promised girl, but in actuality, it was like later revealed that Keitaru made the promise to that girl with the other one as a witness, that other one being Mutsumi. And the thing is, they don't 100% confirm this until the final chapter. They straight up don't. They dropped a whole lot of hints in various chapters to where you have to be fucking stupid to not put the 2 and 2 together and go, oh, it is Naru. And just when, like, okay, I'll give you one great example. Mutsumi was about to give out who the promised girl was to Keitaru. It was right when they're all going to take their entrance exam one last time. And just when she was about to say, it's like, actually, the promised girl is, oh, look at the time, we have to get to the classroom and do our entrance exams. And it never gets brought up again. And then, several chapters later, Keitaru kind of forgets about it. But then towards the end of the series, his grandmother was actually going to reveal who the promised girl was. And Naru, breaking character at this point, kind of flips out and doesn't want Keitaru to know because she fears that she might not be that promised girl. Here's the question. For everything that we've learned so far, what makes her think it was someone else? Why would she, other than forced drama, why would she just flip out like that? It doesn't make any sense. And by the way, they confront her grandmother about it and said, no, I like Naru. I like her when she fucking hits me, which, by the way, whoa, Keitaru. Okay, I guess we learned some things. And then his grandma is like, yeah, by the way, Naru is the promised girl. Gotta go now, bye. Much to the surprise of no one who reads this. So that mystery plot was kind of stupid. That's one of the things I really didn't like. I kind of wish they would just confirm it early on and just develop the story from this point forward. It doesn't really change much of anything. Whatever, let's not dwell on it too much. I mean, just because that mystery plot sucked doesn't mean it brings down the entire manga. In fact, can this even be considered a harem? I mean, of all the other characters, eventually they too start crushing on Keitaro, Motoko, and Shinobu especially. But was there anyone who was reading this and had any doubt in their mind that he was going to end up with Naru, despite how much of an abusive bitch she's being? Because I didn't think that. And because of that, can I even consider this a harem? Well, whatever. I guess a harem is just one character and a bunch of women, regardless of the situation. Actually, let's rewind this bit and go back to Naru. So, her reciprocating bipolar feelings towards Keitaro has gotten almost on every character's nerves. Shinobu's, Kitsune's, Kanako's, which is Keitaro's sister. I'll cover her later on. But she doesn't straight up confess her feelings until the end of Volume 12. And what they literally did to go through that was pure insanity. But I will admit I had a little bit fun reading it, I should say. See, what happened was, Keitaro was planning to use an abandoned annex at the Hinata Inn to confess his feelings. Because there's some mystical, magical, mumbo-jumbo bullshit to where if you confess your feelings towards towards the one you love, the other person will reciprocate those feelings, and you'll fall in love together and shit like that. I need to mention, for those who are unfamiliar, Love Hina is not grounded on realism. In fact, it shares the same universe as Negima and Yukio Holder, which has magic, immortals. In the case of Love Hina, there's flying turtles and weird nations that are kind of looking like Turkey, but they're also pretty high tech. I'll cover a little bit about that later. So yeah, sure, I was able to believe that. Unfortunately, he confessed his feelings to his not really blood related sister. I thought I would fucking emphasize that just to make it a little less uncomfortable for you. And this causes a fucking huge... They literally had a big long chase all over Japan in order to get back Naru. And like I said, it was insanity. There were missiles, there were cars piling on top of each other. It was just pure chaos. In fact, let me show you something, right here. Look at this insanity. Yeah, I don't know if I'm portraying it correctly. Look at this. Explosions, cars chasing after him. Let's see. It was fucking bug nuts. But at the same time, Ken Akamatsu got a little more bug nuts in his work later on, so it's not that all surprising to me, but it was pretty freaking chaotic and shit. Let me just pull up another image here. Blah, 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 just to prove. Yeah, yeah. Finally fucking says it, even though they were kind of falling to their death, because they literally chased her at the end of Japan. Let's see. Oh, look, they at least kiss. So yeah, Naru has improved in comparison to her anime counterpart, but like I said, not by much. Let's see, last thing. Yeah, here's the map. This is what they did. They started right here, and then all the way up here. Fucking crazy, right? And it gets crazier in the last few volumes where Keitaro ends up going to Kawalisu's country, which, by the way, that was actually a pleasant surprise, because Sue in the manga, we do get some information about her character development. She's the tan-skinned foreigner who's not really Indian, and they actually emphasize this in the manga, which makes her accent in the English dub of the anime even more perplexing as it already is. But anyways, Sue, she Well, first off, why would the princess of a kingdom be living at a Japanese all-girls dormitory? Especially when she's a fucking minor, but anyway, whatever. Anyways, I was actually surprised that we actually got to know what her kingdom was, because we never really saw her family members. She only mentions her brother once. We didn't learn about it until Keitaro was already there because of some bullshit with Seta. I need to talk about that character as well later on. He gets dragged into some weird zany hijinks with Seta, his archaeological professor, and they end up in on that kingdom. And then later on, because of something that his grandmother said in a letter, where if he has to be married to a woman that's right beside him within a week so he can own the dorm, and then all of a sudden, all the other side characters who were working their asses off to make sure Naru confesses his feelings to Keitaro, kind of sort of wants him for themselves. Okay. But anyways, Sue saves them from the wacky hijinks, but then later on it's revealed, oh, by the way, I'm the princess of this kingdom, and I'm going to marry you. Bye! Wow, okay. Spoilers for that arc. Turns out Grandma Hinata missed the deadline as well, so they didn't immediately have to do the marriage thing, so they could just drag this out for a couple more chapters in order to solidify Keitaro and Naru's relationship. Yeah, this series got really fucking chaotic at the end. But I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I don't know if I believe that the manga did improve in quality, or I've developed Stockholm Syndrome with this series. Is it possible to develop Stockholm Syndrome to a fictional work of art? I've Googled it, I couldn't find any tangible results. Maybe I'm the first case. I did enjoy some things about the manga. Like I said, I like all the side characters. They're all pretty fun. Mutsumi, Shinobu's alright. Same with Sue. Sarah McDougal in this series. She was like the adopted daughter of Seta, who was Naru's crush and Keitaro's professor. Something Keitaro turns into at the end of the series, by the way. And she did have like some chapters focused on her at the beginning, but then afterwards she is straight up almost forgettable because she's been reduced to Sue's sidekick, where she and her just explore around the Hinata household because apparently there's like a ton of secret passageways and stuff. Yeah, least interesting character there. Not a big deal. She was a bratty little failed abortion anyways. Did I mention I like Motoko? Even though I probably shouldn't, because she too was also violent towards Keitaro at the beginning of the series. And she was using a fucking sword, swinging it at him. But then she got really better, much quicker than Naru did later in the series. And I don't get her her phobia of turtles though. That means if she was to have a fight with Donatello, she's fucked. Okay, the reason why I like Motoko is because I like cool samurai characters. And she fits that archetype like a glove. And she's also trying to get into Todai because she was inspired by Keitaro. But then she also ended up as a Ronin. She ended up being a Ronin warrior. Ha ha ha! Nostalgia. Alright, I'll be fair and I'll mention another positive I like. You know, I actually do like the fact that Love Hina takes place mostly inside a dormitory or on some tropical island or on a beach or anywhere they can have a trip. Basically, anywhere that wasn't a fucking generic cookie cutter high school setting. Like most anime his settings are taking place to this day. Now, normally I don't have a problem, but it just gets more and more oversaturated. And that's why I'm thankful that Love Hina not only does it not have like a high school setting, despite the fact that the main character's objective is to get to a college setting, but they do everything in its power to make sure that Keitaro doesn't actually set foot inside Tokyo U. So he did. he did, in fact, pass his entrance exams along with Naru and Mutsume to go to Tokyo U. That's cool. There's a problem, though. He actually fucking daydreamed most of the day until there were 5 minutes left. And he wasn't fucking doing the test. He wasn't answering the questions. But he managed to answer all of them and pull it off at the last minute. However, he didn't have the balls to see it through. So he fucking runs away. I'll repeat that. Even though he was willing to complete the test, even though there were 5 minutes left, he didn't have the balls to see it through. So he became a total pussy and run off, which kicks off this fucking island arc, which is what the Spring movie is based off of. And I just found that so fucking frustrating. Because most of the side characters do learn later on that Keitaro did in fact get accepted. But now there's a deadline. If he doesn't turn in his application in time, he wasn't going to get in. Thankfully, they were on a different time zone, so they were able to mail it in on at the last minute. But, and that arc itself, it was all right. There was a character there that looked exactly like Shinobu, but she had tan skin. Giant turtles. There's a lot of turtles in this series. They have a pet flying turtle named Tama-chan. It's cute. It's adorable. I like it. So you're going to love this. Ken Akamatsu wanted Keitaro to not go to Tokyo U immediately so badly that he wrote up this incident. See, when he got back home into Japan, he was about to set foot there. Unfortunately, through a string of weird bad luck and plot convenience, he gets a broken leg. The guy who has been nigh invincible for the most part whenever physical harm is placed onto him, from getting punched in the face to having a fucking car tumble on him. He was mostly fine, but then all of a sudden he just gets a broken leg, and he had to be out of the university for 3 months, which was long enough for him to miss everything, and he basically has to repeat a year. And he decided to spend the next 6 months on an overseas trip in America with Seta for archaeology. Now, I did not bring this up much, but Keitaro actually does have an arc where he takes an interest into archaeology. To the point where it actually made Naru jealous a couple of times because he was more fascinated with relics than she is with her. And he had that interest when he met Seta. And at the time, he didn't know that was Naru's crush back in the day. But it was just a weird string of coincidences. Basically, Seta was... He's an alright character, but he's a shit driver. And I don't even know how he ends up raising Sarah as a foster dad, but okay. So, there is one other positive thing I like. When Keitaro leaves for America, he said his goodbyes to Naru before he leaves, and 6-month departure. And I thought it was great. It was very heartwarming. Very nice. And things were picking up. Then, almost 11 volumes in, or actually it was exactly 11 volumes in, they introduce Keitaro's never before mentioned, not blood-related sister, Kanako Urashima. Now, before I go into detail on who she is and all that, I gotta mention another little piece of backstory from 8 years ago. The morning after I uploaded the last few Love Hina vlogs, on the last of the TV series, I said that I couldn't watch Love Hina again even if I wanted to. It wasn't available for me or whatever. Somebody on YouTube, I forget the individual's name, PM'd me a link to watch the episode streamed of Love Hina again, which is the final set of OVAs that take place after the Christmas and the spring OVA, which I didn't know, so there were some continuity things. I watched the first episode because I was bored and I didn't have anything better to do at the time. So I actually had an idea who Keitaro's sister was, and I know she was going to be in this series in one way or another. Of course, I didn't watch the rest of the episodes of Love Hina again because, well, obviously the show was still not picking up in quality, and what is the point of continuing watching the series when there's really no change at the time? I just ultimately lost interest in the anime, and yeah, that was my stopping point. And it still is, because they never reprinted the DVDs or Blu-rays of Love Hina again, as well as the spring special and the Christmas special. The only thing I saw was the Christmas special over at Brandon's place, and yeah, it was typical Love Hina bad. Love Hina anime bad. I should be a little more specific on that. But anyways, back to Kanako, who took control of the inn, and she was trying to make she was changing it back to an inn that she could run as a business, because that was another promise Keitaro made to her back in the day. Problem I have with her was that she was introduced late in the series. We have 3 volumes left after this. What was the point? And her weird gimmick is that she is a master of disguise. She can wear masks and stuff, and even change the shape of her body and basically take the form of anyone else. She starts off the series like, she starts off pretending to be Naru and started messing with everyone else. And she was this weird ass character. Very antisocial looking, doesn't have any charisma, she barely smiles. And yeah, I didn't really like her all that much at first, despite the fact that Naru was getting along with her just fine, up until she mentioned that she was potentially the promised girl, which something Kanako has a bitterness towards. So I really didn't like her all that much until she punched Naru in the face. And my reaction, I never smiled so wide at that manga before. She finally got a dose of her own medicine, and it felt almost orgasmic when I saw that. But after that whole crazy chase thing I talked about earlier, she was also kind of just reduced to a nothing side character, to the point where she actually joined Grandma on her little hot springs trip anyway, so. Alright, just in case people have some questions, because last night I actually got drunk as hell and did a little weird interview with Windsor about Love Hina, and he was asking me various questions, which helped me in recording this vlog. Will I actually upload me shit-faced talking about Love Hina and some of the stuff I missed? Well, if people want it, I will edit it a little bit and upload it, so that way, because you won't even hear Windsor, the Q&A, you'll just hear me talk. But one of the things he asked me, was there any other time that I wanted to drop this manga? And honestly, the answer was no. I don't know if it's because I dedicated myself into making this vlog by reading the manga, or I was just legit used to the negatives to a point where they didn't cause me to say, you know what, fuck this. But there was not a single moment for me that caused me to want to drop this or fucking outright cancel my video. Nothing like that, despite the fact that, there were still some problems going on. Like I said, it just doesn't really pick up by until the second half. And then there was that whole fucking incident at the beach with Naru. Oh god. Keitaro's idiot friends are still there, the other 2 Ronins. But yeah, there was another positive thing I could say about the manga is that most of the characters that were in the anime, like Kentaro, are nowhere to be found in the manga. So they got less side characters, and as a result, it's a little more focused. Yeah, the narrative is a little more focused, a little more easy to digest. No more other annoying, hateable characters that got in the way, so that was a positive. But back to the question at hand, yeah, there wasn't really a big issue with me wanting to drop Love Hina. I never even thought about dropping it. The thought never came to my mind. Another positive I could say about Love Hina, I'm sorry I'm going back to this, is that the versions I picked up at least had like a ton of bonus content with like production sketch arts and stuff and some notes from Ken Akamatsu himself. So you get to know a little bit more about the behind the scenes details of the development of this series, like how Naru was going to be an amnesiac named Midori, and Keitaro was actually going to be a little more, he was going to have more of a spine, but he was also going to be an asshole who was going to sell the inn at one point. He apparently also owned a motorcycle. It was some interesting stuff to look into. Well, is there any more things I could say to give it points? Any more positive things I could say about Love Hina? Well, the artwork is really nice. If it wasn't, I would have just ignored it altogether. Obviously, I am a fan of Ken Akamatsu's work, mostly because I do like the art style and the character designs. I think Naru, if you take away the fact that she has a psychotic personality, she's actually pretty cute. Same with Mutsumi. Keitaro's design, you know, doesn't look as bland as most male anime characters that I would see in these harem situations. It's actually starting to get a little more and more standoutish to me as time goes on. Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but Ken Akamatsu likes to do CG backgrounds. All his backgrounds and locations are mostly computer generated. And it does have some really nice scenery porn because of it. And when I say scenery porn, I mean the actual term porn, not actual porn. I mean, you know what I mean, shut up. On the subject of character design still, I swore I thought I found this somewhere on the internet. I guess I was wrong, but I thought Sue's design was based off of Edward from Cowboy Bebop. But I couldn't find, I've been looking up and down online, I couldn't find any evidence. I guess it got scrubbed or it was not true, whatever. Though some people might tell me, hey, Cowboy Bebop wasn't super popular in Japan, hell, it's barely even known over there. Well, Love Hina does have a chock full of pop culture references, but I actually did manage to spot a Cowboy Bebop reference in Kitsune's room at one point. So Ken Akamatsu might have been a fan, who knows? If that's the case, that makes him a much cooler mangaka. I do like the comedy when it doesn't involve misery at Keitaro's expense, at least. Whenever they do have another gag or whatever, it's pretty funny. And like I say, it does get over the top and goofy and a whole lot of things. Like, anything that involves Seta driving his fucking car. Because he can't drive for shit, and as a result, it just tumbles all over the place. Sometimes it would explode. I do get a good little chuckle out of that. So yeah, the comedy can be funny if it's not dependent on that one unfunny constant running gag. And another thing I want to show you, this might be the last on-cam thing I'll do for this vlog, but there was one other funny moment that did come at the expense of not only Keitaro, but Naru at the same time. See, at the end of the series, Naru was getting concerned that whether or not she was living in a happy life with Keitaro, and they tried to go on the date, but a string of bad luck and misfortunes were happening. Like, he didn't have enough money in his wallet, there were certain places were getting closed, there was like a long wait line at a Ferris wheel or something. But at the end of the night, they go to a love hotel to see if they were going to do it. And what happens was, like, Keitaro grabs Naru, then fucking grabs her, and then they both fall and donk their heads. It's this panel right here. It's the very small one. Let me just zoom in right there. Oh man, autofocus. Oh, there we go. You can see Naru's eyes almost popping out of her skull. And then the next panel shows that they had to be dragged to the hospital and stay overnight. Okay. So, with everything I told you, what are my final thoughts on this series? Do I love it? Do I hate it? Well, the answer's going to shock the living hell out of you, might even piss you off even, but I thought Love Hina was just okay. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry about that. Like I said, there was like no other point that wanted me to drop this series. It does pick up, even though it was towards the end. Or once again, I probably developed Stockholm Syndrome, but I didn't come out loving it. It just came out, yeah, it was fine. It's not this super classic masterpiece that everyone heralds it to be, that's for sure. But it's not the worst, most offensive manga either. And it definitely isn't Ken Akamatsu's magnum opus, that's for sure. I still think the best thing he's made was Negima. Although, I will say this much. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone who's seen the anime, despite me giving the manga praises. Because a lot of people who hate the anime hate it for some of the reasons that are very present in the manga as well. I mean, did I mention that Naru's infliction of pain towards Keitaro's gotten so bad at one point it became a reflex? No fucking joke. But yeah, I just thought the manga was fine. It has a lot of pros, a lot of cons, a lot of ups and downs in order to almost nearly balance it out. But like I said, again, can't really recommend it at all. It's not this super duper classic. Oh, and just to make sure, I had a conversation with Brandon about this a couple nights ago, but I gotta make something clear. Yeah, just because I'm not big into Love Hina doesn't mean I don't like the creator's work. In case you haven't figured it out already, I actually am a fan of Ken Akamatsu stuff. The only thing I haven't really read from him was I Love You. And I don't think I can because I believe those mangas are still out of print. But I have read Ground to Force Mao-chan. I thought it was alright. Would have been better as a fucking kids manga. I love Negima. I even did a fucking big vlog on that. I even said, you know what, the ending didn't bother me, but that was because I knew what the hell was going on. And I'm reading UQ Holder, and that series is still pretty good to me, so yeah. Just because I'm not big into one dude of the guy's work doesn't mean I hate him all around, because some people usually make that assumption, and I don't know why. It's just kind of annoying to me. But you know what? I don't regret doing this at all. I really don't. I actually regret reviewing King's Game more than I regret reading Love Hina. I mean, it almost felt like I was bound to do so anyways. But I had a lot of fun just kind of reading it and just get my thoughts off my chest. I mean, it is dated, unfortunately. And the manga is almost 20 years old come next month. But it really hasn't aged well with the subject matter. And even on the fan service level, manga's gotten raunchier and raunchier. I mean, Ken Akamatsu still draws characters in Barbie doll anime, so... But you know what? I didn't hate doing this. I had a lot of fun. Hopefully I can keep doing stuff like this on my channel. And I really hope you guys came out loving it. It really has been a crazy 10 years on this channel. I mean, there were some good times. There were also some pretty bad times. But I hope there's more good times than bad from this point forward. Now, I mean, I came on this channel because I thought it'd be fun to, you know, express some opinions here and there, get some stuff off my chest, and, you know, sample other things like reviews, rants, maybe little skits, whatever. And I still do that. I just can't put the amount of energy and time to it because, well, you don't have a whole lot of time when you get older. You dedicate yourself to a 40-hour job and other careers and stuff. But I had a lot of fun doing this. I had a lot of fun making videos, and doing this Love Hina vlog, it really felt like back in my college days when I was looking forward to making a video and uploading it on my channel. And I'm hoping to like reinvigorate that spark now. I don't know how this video will turn out. Hopefully it will turn out great. A lot of people see it. A lot of people, you know, either agree or even if they fucking disagree with me fully and they fucking love Hina because it was something they grew up with, that's fine. That's your opinion. Maybe if I checked the series out when it was new, back when I was like 10 or 11 years old, I probably would have fucking loved this show, series too. But no, I got into it late in the game. It's been, like I said, it's been a crazy decade. Before I end this channel, I like to thank most of my subscribers. I am going to thank, I believe I don't know where he calls himself now, Kaido Link 64, Vmon, you know, thanks for staying loyal to me. Hishen, Otis Mihan, Setsuna Angel, since he came onto one of my streams and told me that he saw my Negima vlog and he was a fan himself. That actually meant a lot to me when he brought that to my attention. I would also like to thank Chibi Skitty, X25, Lazy Samurai 1354, and everyone else who has basically stayed dedicated to watching my content. I would also like to thank some of my other friends and YouTubers here as well. Big Al 2K6, or just Big Al, he was one of my inspirations. Same with Magus X1. He doesn't make videos anymore, he still has his account, so I assume he is lurking around, but if the off chance he is listening to this video, yeah, you were also a major inspiration for me to do this YouTube thing as a hobby. Nightman and Time Warp, you guys are still pretty cool. Time Warp is kind of like disappeared into the shadows, but I know where to find him. Just keep that in mind for knowing that I still exist, and I still acknowledge his existence. He still makes videos. He has a pet cockatiel named Dusty. It's a beautiful bird. I gotta mention that for you. This is for, if he's even still around, Aiko Arisaka 420, aka the anime overviewer. He was an old school anime reviewer that just disappeared one day. He was also a fan of Love Hina the manga, but didn't care for the anime much. But the off chance he sees this, you know, he was like one of the first people I watched on YouTube before I got into this game. I also like to thank my buddy Enotech, who is living a couple cities away from me. It was fun doing some videos with you. I would also like to thank Mitsuhide the Vagrant, who joined me on that other Love Hina vlog that you can find on my channel. That whole part of him running away, that was all improv too. I didn't expect him to do that. I would also like to thank my friend Windsor, as well as Real, for being co-hosts for most of my streams. At least we can have a decent conversation going whenever you guys are around. I would also like to thank Art, aka the Fighting Gentleman. He was also in some of my earlier videos. I also like to thank Deck Crash. I mean, he may not agree with me and my viewpoints on Love Hina at this point if he's ever watching this vlog, but if you managed to sit through everything I have to say, thanks, man. And I also like to thank Antonio Baldari for making this commission for me. You can find his work on his Facebook page. I'll post a link in the description below, and he can actually make something for you. What he does is actually pretty interesting. And finally, I'd like to thank an old co-host of mine who has been kind of, he was kind of divisive, but I do miss having Multifire on my channel when we talk about anime. I don't know if he's ever going to watch this or whatever, but yeah, thanks, man. You were fun to work with. You really were. I hope we can do that again sometime. So that is my crazy-ass Love Hina vlog. I hope that I held your interest for this long. What are your thoughts? Post in the comment below. I will read every single comment that's thrown at me. And yeah, that's it. Hopefully I can make more videos again. I plan to get another anime video out. Not sure which one, not sure when. Might even take another break, who knows. But that's all I got. This is Darkscream, signing out.